very sad to hear that Sir James Hardie had died. He was the guy who did more for, a lot of things. He was the wonderful son of Eileen Hardie, the matriarch of the Hardie wine family. I think it's owned these days by, I don't know, Treasury Wines, or maybe it's a venture capitalist, I don't know. But the Hardie family, like the Penfold family, were so important in South Australia. Sir James, wine, yachting, success. We'll miss you, sir. We will. Lovely man. Oh dear. Hi everybody. Jeremy Cordeaux, Peter Clayton's behind the camera. Welcome to the Court of Public Opinion in the garage. It's a Tuesday. Before we get into the stuff that I sort of really want to talk to you about, some of the memorable or milestone things we remember the day for, June 20. Adelaide Town Hall, speaking of not milestones but foundation stones, it was opened on this day in 1865. Happy birthday to the Adelaide Town Hall. That's seen a few interesting things over the years. Errol Flynn was born in Hobart. He died aged 50 in 1959. But he was born in 1909. He wrote a book, I've got it over there, along with a cheque. I bought it at auction. The book is called My Wicked, Wicked Ways. And he was a bad boy. Oh, God, he was a bad boy. You know, the Halverson yacht, speaking of boats, the Halverson family, who incidentally built many of the boats that Sir James used to sail, including Gretel, America's Cup and all of that. He ordered a boat, beautiful boat, probably the most expensive boat that the Halverson family had ever built. And they were delighted because they had a Hollywood star who was going to buy one of their boats. And he never paid them. Never, ever paid them. Took delivery of the boat. Scandalous guy. No wonder he wrote a book called My Wicked, Wicked Ways. Anyway, he was a colourful guy. What else can I tell you? Queen Victoria came to the throne. She was only 18. She was, for many, many years, the longest reigning English monarch in history, 64 years. Queen Elizabeth, of course, reigned longer, but that was 1837. Wow. Little Patty got married to Keith Jacobson in 1973. Where's little Patty these days? Anne Murray. I love Anne Murray. Anne Murray married Bill Longstroth. And also born this day she was, in 1945. Anne and I are the same age. Her biggest hit, it says here, was in 1978 with You Needed Me. Now, I thought her best song was Just Another Woman in Love. Do you know that one? A Kid Out of School. Yeah. Pete, do you know it?
Yes, I like Anne Murray.
Yeah. Oh, she had some wonderful songs. I've got many of them in an old jukebox over the other side of the garage there, and I come down here sometimes at night with a glass of red and play them to myself. It sounds very maudlin, I know, but it's good fun. Wouldn't be dead for quids. What else can I tell you about the day? Chet Atkins was born, great guitarist, 1925. You like Chet Atkins, Pete?
Not so much, no.
Okay. This is interesting. 1756, 146 Englishmen were imprisoned in a dungeon in the Nawab of Bengal. Only 23 were alive the next morning. So originated the phrase, the black hole of Calcutta. Golly. USA and Soviet Union agreed to set up a hotline between the White House and the Kremlin. Toast of the Town started on US radio, compared by Ed Sullivan, the entertainer. This was the forerunner to his television program, which started September 25 in 1955, but the Toast of the Town on radio was 1948. And he wasn't even a presenter. I mean, he was a very awkward kind of man, but just the right place at the right time. Right place at the right time. T. Texas Tyler, who wrote a thing called, have I had my time, have I? I get 5 minutes for dates. That's all I get. That's all I get for my dates. T. Texas Tyler, he wrote The Deck of Cards. Now, T. Texas Tyler, I got a feeling that Wink Martindale actually did the recording. He was a disc jockey, and Wink Martindale's got an interesting story as well. But T. Texas Tyler was born in Arkansas, 1916. Oh, just one more. An HMV Nippergram 3-speed automatic portable radiogram in maroon with white piping, 61 guineas at Harris Scarf in Adelaide on this day in 1956. Cheap at the price. Cheap at the price. I'll leave those up there. Anyway, some of the other things. Since I spoke to you, or since we sat down to record Courts of Public Opinion, apart from the passing of Sir James Hardy, Glenda Jackson has gone. The death of Daniel Ellsberg at the age of 93. The name mightn't mean anything to you. Do you remember
No.
Daniel Ellsberg? He came out with these things, which was the first of the great reveals, the first of the great exposés, the Pentagon Papers, all about the Vietnam War and all the secret stuff that he couldn't live with, and he thought that we the people should. And he lived a very controversial life, but stood tall, stood tall. COVID vaccination levels remain a worry. A 7th wave has hit. Hope you know about this. 21,000 new cases nationwide, 200 deaths in the past week. But we are keen to let that go through to the keeper. Be careful. Unemployment has dropped, not much, but going the right way. 72,000 new jobs created last month, which of course will put more upward pressure on interest rates. You see, normal interest rates are around 5 to 7%. At the moment, 4.1%, I think. Anyway, normally, on average, 5 to 7%. So if you want them to be lower, the economy has to be on its knees. Isn't that strange? And we don't want that, do we? I wouldn't have thought. A quick word of warning, if you're looking to buy a swimming pool, don't know how many people buy swimming pools in winter, but proceed with caution. Apparently, there are many people who have paid deposits, and more than deposits, with no pool to show for it, not even a hole in the ground. Now, probably it's like the construction business generally at the moment. In trouble, but don't get caught. I think the answer is, with any construction, you give progress payments and you watch the progress carefully. Listening to Parliament yesterday, I heard this guy stand up and say, I was in the car, I was so angry I wanted to pull over and ring Parliament House. A lot of good that would do. But I heard this guy stand up and say, the previous government had been derelict in its duty for not recognising and compensating the islands of the Pacific for Australia's contribution to climate change. Water is lapping at our feet. What absolute rubbish. And not one person in that parliament stood up. Point of order, contradiction. It's nonsense, ladies and gentlemen. We are in serious trouble if you hear that kind of thing coming out of Parliament House. Here is the truth. I looked it up. You can too. Here is the truth. According to the ABC, the story is dated, I've written it down, it's dated Thursday, the 7th of January, 2021. Went to air 7 p.m. Okay? Thursday, the 7th of January, 2021, 7 p.m, the ABC, the national broadcaster. It says, and I quote, "New research finds that hundreds of islands in the South Pacific, many of them the big tourist islands, are actually growing in size, despite climate change stories saying exactly the opposite." Gee whiz. Did you hear that? Did you remember that? Now it goes on to say, a team of scientists from the University of Auckland found that the islands in the Pacific nations of the Marshall Islands, Kiribati, as well as the Maldives in the Indian Ocean, and dozens of other islands have grown by up to 8% in land size. I repeat, they have grown up to 8% in land size over the last 60 years. Now this is verified, the story goes, by satellite surveillance. Now this surely should be a job for Interpol. These guys in the Pacific are a bunch of crooks, extortionists, swindlers. Where is the ABC? Where is the opposition? Where are the journalists? Oh no, water is lapping at our feet. Oh God. Never ceases to amaze me. And what with Parliament sitting until 4 o'clock in the morning the other night, 4 o'clock in the morning, I listened to a fair bit of it, adjourning so that yesterday they could pass the enabling legislation for the referendum for the voice. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is the moment of truth. This is where we can well and truly lose our country, or we can decide to argue about the already established generosity which continues to be bestowed upon 3% of the population, the Aboriginal population. I do underline here that they never see the benefit or the largesse, but largely that is their problem. We give the money, they don't get it. They already have legal title to 51.2% of the country, as well as everything else. But apparently that's not enough. All I can say to you is beware the voice. Listen to people like Jacinta Price and others who probably know a lot more about it than I do. Something closer to home, just quickly. I don't know what's going on with eggs. Pete, when was the last time you bought eggs?
It's been a while.
Well, you'll find it a problem because they're not on the shelves. Prices have doubled and sometimes no eggs. And I don't know why. Is this some kind of rebellion against barn-laid and free-range eggs? They're trying to say that this is the price we have to pay for demanding that we take the hens out of cages? Something's going on with eggs, and I don't know what it is. The independent member for Mackellar Her name is Dr. Sophia Scamps. S-C-A-M-P-S, I think. She's introduced a private members' bill to Parliament to control the advertising and promotion of junk food, fast food. With over 3/4 of kids and 2/3 of the rest of us overweight or obese, she's absolutely right. Something's got to be done about it. Let's spend more money on prevention of disease, and we won't have to spend so much money on health. Well, not health, meaning we won't have to spend so much money on sickness. There's no debate. Just bloody well do it, for God's sake. State budget. It's not exactly fresh news. We talked about it a bit last week. Not much made of the deficit that popped up, unexpected as it was. Well, not really. A very good move to get rid of stamp duty for first home buyers. But why does the government inflict a stamp duty on any home purchase? Wasn't all of that supposed to go with the GST when the GST came in? I understood it was. No, that's right. They did a deal. They had to do a deal. As John Howard said, politics is the art of compromise, and the Democrats demanded that certain things not be included in the GST, and there was all of this horse trading and all the rest of it. That's the simplest thing, really, for any government to do. The most logical thing is you tax consumption. You don't tax energy and enterprise and effort, which is what we do. We totally rely upon that. Not right. The federal government has found a spare or lazy $2 billion. It's amazing, isn't it? For public housing. Now, this is to get the support of the Greens for their housing. By that I mean the government's housing initiative. It won't get through unless the Greens support it. But on another matter, you would imagine that the government would have amazing buying power, building all of these homes. What they've got to take into consideration, of course, is there the labour? Are there the people to do it? But given that they can find construction companies and tradespeople to build this amazing number of low-cost social housing, you would think their buying power would be terrific, wouldn't you? You would imagine that the government would demand a great deal, a fantastic deal. They would leverage a terrific deal. But no, I have no idea why the government puts up with or ignores, with them involved, everything costs more. Think Kevin Rudd's overpriced school halls, for example. I'm sure Kevin didn't want them to be 3 times the price they should have been. You can just bet that every one of those proposed publicly funded houses will cost up to 1/3 more to build than it should. Everything the government does costs more, and they don't seem to care. The media doesn't give them any stick or any arguments. Gee whiz. Thank you for viewing the Court of Public Opinion, ladies and gentlemen. Pete and I'll be back tomorrow. I'm Jeremy Cordeaux. Believe in yourself, and goodbye for now.